The Mandalorian brand has been around since 2019, and I think, in my opinion, the way that this brand, and calling it a brand, just separating from everything else from Star Wars, and just focusing on the Mandalorian brand itself, just focusing on that show and the characters, like, you could do so much more with that, and you're given a platform to do it. Because the Mandalorian show is not like anything else we've seen in this franchise, where when it comes to the characters, it basically functions like a standard like Saturday morning cartoon type of deal, where the status quo always gets returned back to what it was at the end of the episode. So that's what it feels like. Even though it's not, as obviously the show does go through major changes, you could technically turn the Mandalorian into a type of show. And I think that'd be really cool if we would do that. Because whenever they make the real season 4 of the show, because they will make eventually a season 4, this is just a money-making thing. And there's so many stories you can tell with this brand, with the characters, because if they make a real season 4, the way that I want a real season 4 to go, and for it to be different, for it to change the formula a little bit, I want all the 8 episodes to be standalone episodes, where there is no greater overall story, because that's all done. There's no, I don't know how big you make the show anymore, because I don't want the show going bigger, I want it to go smaller, as that's what the show's about, because the Mandalorian is a guy in a suit of armor, and a small frog alien that has the Force, doing just bounties, missions, going on adventures, and that is a perfect formula to do so many different adventures and different episodes and story ideas. We're having season 4 be all 8 episodes, be all just one-off adventures that are just, here is Mandalorian Grogu doing different things in each episode, because just spitballing ideas that I have off the top of my head is you can have one episode where, let's just say, they're in the Razor Crest, and the ship is like breaking down, something like that, and then they fly to a planet, and that planet turns out to be Endor. And like, how would they react to the Ewoks? And maybe there's like some random pirates that the Ewoks need to take down, but they don't have the resources to do that, and so Mando and Grogu help out, and they both take on these pirates, and then that could be an episode, a small little adventure. Or another episode could be focused on Boba Fett again, maybe return to Tatooine, Jabba's palace, or Boba Fett's palace. Maybe Boba Fett has a mission for them to do. There's another idea. Or maybe another idea could be they get a bounty, and this bounty, to make the setting more interesting, maybe it's in a pod racing arena. Maybe this bounty to get is sitting in a stadium on another planet where they're hosting a pod racing match to expand that lore, and it could be a really cool action set piece. You see what I mean? So there's 3 ideas that I have that are just fun ideas that I've executed well. It could be great episodes, because there are episodes in the show already that do feel like this, like the season 2 premiere with Cobb Vanth and the Crate Dragon. That's a great standalone episode that does obviously progress the plot and set up more things, but it's still just a great standalone episode. Season 2 of the show does a really good job of creating an overall story, being taking Grogu to the Jedi, but every episode feels like its own standalone thing that you can watch on its own. And if season 4 just takes away the grand story and just like have one-off adventures for all 8 episodes, and the reason I'm saying about this is because I fully believe, and I think this is something that I didn't even realize, that The Mandalorian is the kids' version of Rick and Morty. Like, it truly is. It's about 2 people going on adventures, like high sci-fi concepts, and just playing off of that. Like, that's what Rick and Morty is. And so that's what The Mandalorian is. That's what the show is. That's what the movie is. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, they could do so much more with the Mandalorian brand, where you could do yearly seasons. Like Rick and Morty does a yearly season. Granted, that's an animated show, and so they could do that. But at the same time, you could do yearly seasons for The Mandalorian, and have these episodes be just one-off things that don't really matter in a grand scale, but, just as fun little adventures, because that's what people want to see. That's what The Mandalorian space off of, just these fun little adventures. I don't want the show to be this grand thing. It's trying to explain what the Sequel Trilogy is, and, Thrawn and the Empire. Like, we don't need that. That's not what the show's about. Yeah, it's cool to touch on it, and for other shows to expand on that, so that's a cool idea. But I don't know if they're going to do that, because they don't really see it like that. But to me, that's what the show is. It's a kid version of Rick and Morty, and that's so cool. But I'm going to end things here. If you guys enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe, because I'm going to go now. So, goodbye, everyone.